So we've heard the term leadership bandied about, thrown out there quite a bit over the last few years, but what does that really look like? And what's the difference between good leadership and bad leadership? Well, I think the last 24-hour news cycle gave us a pretty good glimpse of both. Let's start first with the bad. South Carolina Senator Jim DeMint, otherwise a hero to conservatives who has carried the banner for conservative causes for years. His voting record is exemplary, yet he's got, as most of us do, a blind spot. His blind spot is none other than Willard Mitchell Romney, who he endorsed for president in 2008. And for those of you that were hoping Jim DeMint was going to come to Iowa and run for president in 2012, well, I've got some bad news for you, because it's clear Jim DeMint doesn't want to be the president of the United States, because the easiest question of them all to get right, on Thursday he got wrong. He was quoted by a Washington publication defending Mitt Romney over Romneycare, the socialized medicine government-mandated health care plan that Barack Obama admitted was really the forerunner to his plan, Obamacare, that he's about to unleash on the rest of the nation if he's reelected president in 2012. Now, while most Republicans were asleep about Romneycare, willfully, back in 2008, suddenly everybody's telling the truth about the scam that is Romneycare, except for one person. Senator Jim DeMint is still holding on to the dreams of a Mitt Romney presidency, telling this Washington publication that Mitt Romney had some good ideas. It just got hijacked by Democrats in the legislature. That's right, Jim. That's exactly what happened. In fact, right now, go to your computer, type in go to google.com and type in Mitt Romney gun to the head by Ted Kennedy healthcare plan. And you'll come up with that very famous picture of Ted Kennedy locking and loading his Glock, putting it to the temple of Mitt Romney, demanding that he sign his own health care bill into law. You know, like all those tobacco companies, demand that you put the cigarette in your mouth and light it. Right. You won't find that at all. In fact, what you will find if you want to look for it is a picture of a smiling, glowing Ted Kennedy standing over the shoulder of Mitt Romney as he watches the Republican governor of the People's Republic of Massachusetts sign into law a heinous piece of legislation that affirms every leftist, pagan, immoral, unconstitutional premise that Ted Kennedy stood for in the United States Senate for 35 years. That's what you'll find. Now that's what bad leadership looks like. Bad leadership makes excuses. Bad leadership spins. Bad leadership accepts the wrong premise of your opponent's argument. But what does good leadership look like? Well, for good leadership, we're going to go to State Representative Dave Heaton. He is the chairman of the State House and Health and Human Services Appropriations Subcommittee. He was asked on Thursday about pro-life legislation that would make it wrong to commit an abortion even if the child is conceived with rape and incest. And of course, the bleeding hearts, who are for the killing of babies. I've never really figured that out. Can somebody else give me, how in the world did we come to the conclusion that the caring people are the ones that wanted to kill people? That doesn't make any sense to me. Hey, we kill you because we care. That's a whole other video blog, but for now let's stay on topic, shall we? Of course, the nattering nabobs came to State Representative Heaton and said, well, it's heinous to make a woman go through with a pregnancy when the child was conceived in such a horrific way. But instead of backing down, instead of accepting the flawed promise of these immoral arguments, State Representative Dave Heaton said, and I quote, "My caucus feels very strongly that in the case of rape and incest, that the person inside the woman's body is innocent to the act." And the key word here is person, because that's what it is. It's not a glob of tissue, it's not a fetus, it is a person. He goes on to say, and I quote, "Even though he was born under horrific circumstances, he's an innocent person that's entitled to live a full life," unquote. And to that, all I can simply say is, amen. That is an excellent example of how you take your opponent's flawed premise, turn it around on them, and destroy their argument in one fell swoop, or one soundbite or quote, if you will. You know, it seems to me that Jim DeMint may be the nationally known name, but he can learn a lot from State Representative Dave Heaton. Thanks for joining us here at stevedeace.com. Don't forget to email us, steve@stevedeace.com, if there are any topics you want us to address right here on Deace's Daily Diatribe. And follow us on Facebook at Steve Deace as well as Twitter, Steve_Deace. God bless.